Welcome to my personal revelation saga. Share your location and let me know where you're joining from. Do you recall the instant when you discovered that the individuals who had made you feel unwanted for years were, ironically, the ones entangled in a grand deception? Indeed, that was my wake-up call at age 38. The letter came on a chilly Tuesday morning in October. The paper, thick and creamy like a symbol of affluence, held the update to the will of my parents-in-law, Elena and Charles Whitmore. I wasn't mentioned in it anymore. 22 years of matrimony, 22 years of shared Sunday dinners where Charles would subtly belittle my modest origins. 22 years of Elena's passive-aggressive remarks about how I didn't meet her expectations for her daughter. Now the letter was impersonal, sterile. After reflecting on familial concerns and wishing to safeguard inheritance for bloodline relatives, a term that felt like a taint, like I had become an unwelcome blemish in their hallowed family lineage, I contacted Veronica instantly. Her reaction was, "Oh dear, they're merely being melodramatic. You know how they can be about finances." Yet there was an odd undercurrent to her tone, as if she was reciting lines from a rehearsed script. That night she suggested we dine with her parents to resolve any misunderstandings. On our way to their estate in Beacon Hill, she continually fiddled with her wedding ring, a habit she only exhibited when she was anxious about being found out in a lie. Upon opening the door, Charles greeted us with his customary smug grin, a sight I had come to detest. "Trevor," he said, revealing no disguise of his delight, "enter. We have some family-related matters to discuss." In their living room, where my feet had never been allowed on the coffee table for over 2 decades, Elena served tea in a manner that suggested a casual social call, rather than our usual dynamic. Charles began, "Assassination. We've reached a point where we must be truthful about something we've known for years." My stomach tightened as Veronica fidgeted with her hands. "You've never truly been part of the family," Elena explained. "Yes, you married our daughter, but blood is thicker than marriage, and we recently found that our family line requires proper preservation. We've confirmed this through genealogy research and family history investigations," Charles added, presenting a manila folder. "The continuation of our legacy has become crucial to us, and we believe it should be carried on through the correct channels." I turned to Veronica, who was now shedding tears, not those of sorrow for my husband, but rather tears laden with guilt. "What aren't you telling me?" I demanded of her directly. Lena responded, "What we're explaining is that you won't receive any inheritance from this family. The property, financial assets, and business holdings are earmarked solely for blood relatives." This revelation left me reeling. Although the estate was valued at approximately $3.2 million, it wasn't about the money. It was because I realized, after 22 years, that I remained unacceptable. I still bore the stigma of being a working-class kid who had merely been fortunate. "I understand," I replied softly. Veronica concurred with this decision. More quietness ensued, along with tears laden with guilt. I drove home in a daze. Veronica attempted to speak, but her words were drowned out by the cacophony of my world shattering. That night, I slept in the spare room and spent much of the following day contemplating. The next morning, I reached out to Marcus, an old college friend who had become a family law attorney. Seeking his advice, I recounted the story. After a lengthy pause, he said, "Trevor, this doesn't make sense. Could there be another explanation for your wife's suspicious behavior if the discussion revolves around lineage and genealogy research? Perhaps an unexpected discovery about her own ancestry is causing her distress." The idea lingered, akin to a wisp of smoke. "So, what's your theory?" I proposed that perhaps she should delve into her own lineage, given the advancements in DNA technology today. For a week, I pondered the thought. Veronica's behavior grew increasingly peculiar, taking private calls, spending prolonged periods at her parents', evading eye contact. Something was amiss. Finally, I decided to heed Marcus's advice. A comprehensive DNA test kit was ordered online. I didn't stop there. I sought more clarity and conducted tests on additional individuals. Here comes the intriguing part. Recall Elena's constant preoccupation with family photographs. She had a vast archive tracing ancestors for generations, often poring over ancient images and documents for family history endeavors. A while ago, she left some of these documents at our place, including some containing hair samples from relatives for a genealogical project. I retained them. I provided my DNA sample together with those archaic family documents, among which were Charles's father's and Elena's grandmother's samples, as well as a strand from Veronica's hairbrush. I informed the lab I was undertaking extensive family genealogy research and opted for expedited processing. After 2 weeks, the findings arrived. During my lunch break at work, I perused them. The initial page showed routine ancestry health markers, nothing out of the ordinary. Third page findings on DNA comparison left me startled, causing me to drop the report onto my desk. The analysis indicated that Veronica was not Charles and Elena's biological daughter, as per the DNA evidence. I triple-checked the samples, reread the report, even called the company to confirm the results. There were no errors. Genetic markers clearly showed that Veronica shared DNA with Elena's grandmother, but had zero genetic link to Charles or any of his documented family lineage. However, further analysis revealed an intriguing finding. Veronica's DNA bore striking similarity with a profile in the database, belonging to someone named James Morrison. Upon investigating this profile, I was astounded to discover that James Morrison was none other than Charles' deceased brother who had passed away in a car accident 23 years ago. He was also married to Elena's sister, who perished in the same tragic event. I spent an hour sitting in my car parked lot, grappling with this surprising revelation. For 38 years, Elena concealed an affair with her brother-in-law, Charles. It turned out that Veronica, whom they all believed to be Charles' daughter, was actually his niece. I had collected DNA results, lab analyses, and family comparison charts, and compiled them into a detailed report. During the customary Sunday dinner, amidst strained conversation and passive-aggressive remarks about my job, and Elena's veiled criticisms of our simple lifestyle, Charles brought up the will. "Understand our stance on inheritance, Trevor," he said. "Family bloodlines are sacred, and we simply can't." I interjected, producing a manila folder. "I believe it's time we discussed bloodlines," I stated, placing the DNA results on the table. "What's this?" Elena inquired, but her voice trembled. "Family genealogy," I mentioned casually. "Your interest sparked my curiosity regarding our ancestry, quite intriguing." Charles took the report, his expression altering as he read, all color gradually disappearing. "Correct," I interjected when he faltered mid-sentence. "Confirmed through 2 separate labs, Veronica isn't your daughter Charles, she's your brother James's daughter, making her your niece instead of your child." Elena stood motionless. Veronica appeared close to vomiting. "The affair between James must have begun prior to the accident that claimed their lives." I continued. "Luckily for you, Veronica was young enough that no one raised suspicions about family resemblance. Your side of the family remained silent in that room, the silence was palpable. Now let's discuss lineage preservation," I said. "As these results suggest, your treasured family heritage has been based on a 38-year-old falsehood," Charles eventually spoke up. "How did you uncover this secret?" "We never had." The documents left behind by Elena reveal her familial origins. Remarkably, contemporary science can decipher substantial information from genetic matter. As I glanced at Veronica, she shook her head while tears flowed, confirming my suspicions. "Did you know?" I inquired, to which she responded negatively. "I suspected," she continued. "That's why I never resembled Dad." "Mom said," Elena explained, "this discovery doesn't alter anything, but you're still not." "Indeed, it alters everything," I retorted. "For now, we know that those who made me feel like an outsider for 22 years have been concealing the most significant family secret of all." I rose and collected my papers. "Here's what will transpire. You will revise that will and reinstate me in it. Not for financial reasons, but because after 22 years of marriage, I deserve a place in this family, even if it's a family constructed on lies." I directly addressed Charles. "If you don't, these DNA findings will be shared with some intriguing individuals." Initially, having your late brother as a district attorney sparked curiosity about Veronica's inheritance rights within the family. The balance of power in that setting drastically changed. For the first time in more than 2 decades, Charles Whitmore regarded me with an emotion akin to respect or apprehension. Regardless of the label, it served my purpose. 3 weeks later, I received a revised version of their will, reinstating my place and significantly boosting the initial sum. Veronica and I sought counseling. Our marriage persisted but has evolved. She now comprehends what it means to be scrutinized and found lacking by those who had no right to pass judgment. Elena continues to make passive-aggressive remarks, yet their words hold far less sway. Charles addresses me as an equal, possibly because he recognizes I am the sole individual capable of tearing down his meticulously crafted family image with a mere discussion, ironically humorous. They continue to demand family photos during holidays. Each time Elena positions us for a shot, I can't help but ponder the DNA report stowed away in my safe deposit box. Three generations of Whitmores, yet barely half are truly Whitmores. It seems those who criticize the most often harbor the greatest secrets. Often the outsider who doesn't fit in is the one revealing the truth. That's my story. If you're intrigued, subscribe for more narratives about family secrets and satisfying paybacks. In a world filled with deception, DNA doesn't fib. Thank you for tuning in to Cheating Story Lab. See you next time.